What up, cooks? It's your boy up in this, and I wanted to do a video about some recent WWE releases. Now, personally, I think that everyone that was released does not deserve to be released. We're gonna go through this list and talk about basically how this also serves as evidence that WWE sucks. Not that AEW is any better, but that WWE is going in the wrong direction. First of all, the worst instance of a release in a long time in WWE, Jinder Mahal has been released again. This one I didn't know. I actually was watching some Pierce Morgan video or something on YouTube, and the next thing that played was Jinder Mahal with Chris Van Vliet, and Chris Van Vliet was the one that informed your boy. So Jinder Mahal, a former WWE champion, no longer works for WWE, but don't worry. Don't you worry. Johnny Gargano's job is perfectly safe. Don't you worry. You know what I'm saying? Don't you worry. Sami Zayn is still there, doing absolutely nothing, never earning a dime for this company. Don't you worry, cucks. Don't you worry. You know, if you get bored, you can turn on NXT and watch Noam Dar. I mean, why would anyone want to watch Jinder Mahal when you can watch Noam Dar in the metaphor? I mean, you know what I'm saying? I think it speaks for itself. Then this guy called Zion Quinn got released. Now, I like this guy. I saw him wrestle a few times when they did like the new NXT, like NXT 2.0 or whatever, right? This guy was great for two reasons, and two reasons only. Number one, he has a good look, and number two, he's a Samoan who does not adhere to the Samoan moveset. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, fine. Jacob Fatu, everyone loves Jacob Fatu. They're like, oh, Jacob Fatu, Zilla Fatu. And it's like, dude, how many people do you need that do a Samoan drop and a top rope splash finisher? You know what I'm saying? Like, how many times are we going to see this shit, right? It wasn't cool when Rosie did it. It wasn't cool when Umaga did it. It wasn't cool when both the Usos did it. It wasn't cool when, flying Uso, you know, flying Solo when Solo does it. It's not cool, right? So as far as I'm concerned, unless Zilla Fatu or Jacob Fatu come and do something different, I don't give a shit about either one, right? They're like, oh, Zilla Fatu, this guy is like the next Haku. Oh, so he's the next jobber that never drew a dime? Fantastic, you know what I'm saying? None of these guys have ever drawn a dime. And I'm not saying that Zion Quinn was the next Rock or anything like that, but I'm pretty sure he was Samoan. I could be wrong. But I'm pretty sure he was either Samoan or some sort of Polynesian, but he didn't have like a stupid name. I mean, he did. He had another stupid name, Zion Quinn. But it wasn't like, you know, like Fulasa Fatusa. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't these like weird ass names. Oh, Zilla Fatu. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? You know, this guy had more potential, in my opinion, than all of the other Samoans, except for, of course, Roman Reigns and The Rock. That goes without saying. But it's like, if you wanted to start a wrestling career, you'd rather be Zion Quinn than to be Jey Uso. Also, he was a big motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? And if you're a big motherfucker, that should give you bonus points. But not in Triple H's NXT. I'm pretty sure Triple H just wants to be the only big guy on the show, right? He just wants to be surrounded by like a bunch of Johnny Garganos, so he feels more like a man. I don't know. Next up, Xia Li was released. This is a justifiable release. Xia Li has been getting a paycheck for this company and has produced absolutely nothing. It's like she always has this like martial arts gimmick she reverts to, and then she was like this Chinese demon thing, like, or she was like the aide to a Chinese demon, and the Chinese demon went inside like the other guy. Like, it's some stupid shit. It's like one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in my life. So her being released, in my opinion, is whatever. I don't care, right? Then, next up on the list, Sanga, who I don't think has ever been on TV, and Veer Mahan were released. Now, I will say this. In the context of what they are, in my opinion, Veer Mahan and Sanga could have made a solid tag team. There was an episode of NXT where they both came out. One was wearing like a red suit. The other one was wearing a blue suit. They both had like their Sikh turbans on. And these guys are just massive motherfucks, right? So it's like, I'm not saying that they're better than like AOP. Like AOP is probably better. The Creed brothers are like 100 times better. I'm not saying that Veer Mahan and Sanga are the next Dudley boys. But surely Veer Mahan and Sanga have a much higher ceiling than Pretty Deadly. I mean, let's be honest, right? It's like the level of tag teams, like the requirements to be a tag team in WWE are like basically zero. Like, I'd much rather watch Veer Mahan and Sanga versus the AOP than watch like DIY versus the New Catch Republic. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just stupid. So in my opinion, these two releases were also bad. Another big dude. This guy I don't really care about Von Wagner. Like he's never impressed me. He was kind of boring like in recent times. There was something there, but like I said in the past, this guy looks like if Edge fucked the Great Khali and out came Von Wagner. But nevertheless, Von Wagner is like 6'7", and the trend is very obvious, motherfucks. All these big dudes are getting fired, so that fucking, you can have like 19 Latinos in LWO that don't do anything. You know what I'm saying? Now, it's actually kind of strange because some of those guys are actually pretty good. Like, I think that Zima Ion from TNA, and I've said this for years, in my opinion, Raul Mendoza is like the best out of that bunch. Like, he's better than like Humberto Carrillo and those other jobbers. But it's like, you have all these people that have never drawn a dime. It's like back in the day when JTG had a job or like Primo and Epico had a job, they never drew a dime. Like, they were never on TV. So it's like, is it really that bad to have Von Wagner? Can't you just fire like 2 of the like 19 wrestlers that were part of that Rey Mysterio match at WrestleMania? You know what I mean? There's like 19 people in the ring. Right? 2 of those can get fired. Like Zelina Vega could get fired. She's never drawn a dime. You know what I'm saying? She's done nothing. So Von Wagner had some sort of capacity, and this wasn't utilized. And then, aside from Jinder Mahal, the one that upset me the most was Cameron Grimes, baby. Cameron Grimes was awesome, and Cameron Grimes should have gotten a push. Cameron Grimes he reminded me of Gregory Helms a lot, right? He had this like, he's a smaller guy, but he's like almost believable because the way that he wrestled was like almost like realistic, right? It's like if wrestling were real, like people would be wrestling like Cameron Grimes or like Gregory Helms would. They wouldn't be doing all this like over the top flippy shit, and they wouldn't be doing these like ridiculous taunts and things like that. Cameron Grimes was charismatic, and I believe that Cameron Grimes deserves a shot. Now, the worst part of all these releases is the indication that these releases will have in the future, right? I mean, this can't be like the end, right? I think there are a lot of people in WWE that for years now have not contributed anything to the company. Or as I like to say, they haven't drawn a dime. So these people, I think we're going to see some other releases in the future, Think of people like Dexter Lumis, right? People that haven't been on TV in like a year and a half, right? I don't think he's sticking around. You know what I mean? A bunch of these Zion Quinn types, like the people that you never see, like the girl that hangs out with the Creed brothers, right? Like Damon Kemp from not the New Catch Republic, but from the other shoot wrestling based faction. Like that guy, I don't think that guy's sticking around for much longer. That guy's never gonna be a star. Let's be honest, right? There's a lot of people in WWE right now that I'll give a great example, right? And this is a little controversial because people seem to like this guy. And I'm not going to lie, I don't hate him either. Obafemi, right? People seem to have this opinion that Obafemi is going to be this next big thing. He's not, right? I guarantee you there is a 0% chance that Obafemi becomes the next, forget about people he's going to be the face of WWE. He's never going to be the face of anything because, let's be honest, he's not aesthetically pleasing enough, right? You're not going to put someone like that, like Carmelo Hayes, who also, in my opinion, isn't anything special. At least he's a decent looking guy, right? Like Obafemi is just a big dude. I mean, there's nothing, sexually appealing to the women about Obafemi, right? At least with Carmelo Hayes, you can make that argument. And you need to know that every time someone becomes a star, except for Stone Cold, basically, right? They've had to have some sort of sex appeal, right? Especially in the post Hogan era, right? It's not a coincidence that you turn on TV and you're like, oh shit, you got Dean Ambrose who's balding and has a comb over. You got Seth Rollins who looks like if a rat were a person, he would be Seth Rollins. And then you have Roman Reigns, and as soon as I saw the Shield, I'm like, oh, okay, clearly this entire thing exists to push the good looking one, ahead so he can become champion while the 2 other ones can become jobbers, right? So that's how it works. People like Obafemi are never going to be the face of WWE when you have people like Randy Orton still around. You need the minimum, to be aesthetically, appealing would be a minimum would have to be John Cena, right? Where he's not the tallest guy or anything like that, but he's obviously a good looking guy and he's muscular. Obafemi is he's big, but he's kind of skinny fat, but not skinny at all. He's kind of fat, I mean, he's kind of a little on the chubby side, and it's like it's not gonna happen, right? And in my opinion, Obafemi, like, I mean, I wish him the best because I was entertained by his NXT match, but in my opinion, like in that match, he was the third best guy. Like in my opinion, Dijak is way better than him and the other guy, and Brooks Jensen or whatever the hell the guy is, like, you know, the good one from the Brooks Jensen tag team. Like that guy, I like that guy a lot too. Like both of those guys, I think have a much higher ceiling than Obafemi, right? So it's like we're gonna see a bunch of, not Obafemi because he's a champion, but you know what I mean, a bunch of these Obafemi-esque, like the other guy, like that didn't work out, like Odyssey Jones. If that guy's still around, that guy's getting fired. You know what I'm saying? It's a wrap. It's not sticking around. That like Hank and Tank or whatever that they have in NXT, like those two guys are getting fired. I mean, let's be honest, right? Like it's like if they're doing firings, it's that kind of wrestler that needs to bounce. You know what I mean? It's not gonna be like Lexus King and, you know, the people that have been recently hired and are getting pushes, right? Like, don't be surprised if like Apollo Crews, if he's still there, gets fired, right? It's like he hasn't done anything in years. It's like, it's a shame. Like Apollo Crews is criminally underrated, but it's gonna be people like that, right? So with that being said, it's, you know, prepare yourselves. If some of your favorite wrestlers are like these types of jobbers, prepare yourself for a big disappointment, motherfucks. I do hope that everyone lands on their feet. I'm sure they will. I'd love to see like Jinder Mahal and honestly everyone there just like be introduced in some other company and maintain their spots on TV, because it's like you have Jinder Mahal who's a former WWE champion. Like, I know everyone's going to be interested in him, but it's like, you know, you also have to do something with him. That being said, cucks, take care of yourselves and go fuck your mothers up in this bitch.